Good evening. I'm meteorologist Ulises Garcia, and welcome to 4 FSU Weather. Today is Tuesday, June 7th, 2016. It's been a nice and hot day here in Tallahassee, 94 degrees, mostly cloudy skies, but the sunshine has finally returned after 2 days of cloudy and rainy weather. And if you notice outside, it's not that humid right now with those winds coming out of the north at 10 miles per hour and also a humidity of 39%. But when you combine that humidity and the temperature outside, you get the heat index. What it actually feels like outside right now, 98 degrees, 91 in Quincy. So these numbers are close to the actual air temperature, which means it's a lot more comfortable out there. But don't get used to these type of heat index numbers because they're eventually going to start rising in the next couple of weeks. When it comes to tonight, 68 degrees, mostly clear skies, a beautiful night. And when we break down tonight's show, gorgeous night ahead. The summer heat will continue, and it's going to be dry for the remainder of the work week. But now we're going to send it over to Shelly with a closer look of our local.
Thanks, Ulysses. Let's go ahead and backtrack a little bit to what was happening yesterday while Tropical Storm Colin came through. I hope everyone stayed safe from all the flooding, the power outages, and the trees that fell yesterday. Tallahassee saw a whopping 4.11 inches of rain. Not as bad as 10 inches in some areas, but still pretty high up. Quincy saw 3.85 inches, and Apalachicola down there saw only an inch, so not too bad for them. Switching off to what's happening currently, though, our current temperatures right now, 94 in Tallahassee, 88 in St. Mark's, Apalachicola, 86 and 84 in Carabel, a little bit cooler because they're near the water, but it's pretty much in the 90s and higher 80s for the whole Big Bend region. Luckily, our relative humidity is pretty low right now, 39% in Tallahassee, 54 in St. Mark's, 54 in Monticello, 41 in Thomasville, so it is pretty comfortable outside. If you are out there right now, enjoy it. But Apalachicola and Carabel are seeing those higher percentages because they are near the water. Satellite and radar shows nothing but sunshine right now, no clouds, no moisture. It is absolutely gorgeous outside, so if you're not out there, go ahead and get out there. And because those humidity percentages are low, our heat index is pretty much the same, not any higher than it would be if there was more moisture outside, which is pretty nice. Moving into the AM, though, those temperatures are going to drop a little bit. We're going to see 67 in Tallahassee, 66 in Monticello, 76 down in Apalachicola. Pretty cooler temperatures as we move into the night, which is nice after all that heat. Moving into Wednesday, though, that heat is going to rise back up. We're going to see 90s all the way around the Big Bend region, as you can see here. 92 in Tallahassee, 94 in St. Mark's, 94 in Perry, but luckily we will be seeing sunshine, so it'll be nice out. Moving back into the AM, though, those temperatures are going to cool off a little bit more. 65 in Tallahassee, 64 in Monticello, 68 over here in Perry, so still pretty nice at night. And moving into tonight's forecast, 68 degrees. It's going to be absolutely beautiful. Go on a moonlit picnic if you want. It's going to be stunning outside, and the winds are going to be at 5 miles per hour. Our Wednesday outlook, though, it's going to be really hot, folks. So make sure you prepare, put on sunscreen just in case. 96 degrees is what we're going to be seeing. Plenty of sunshine, though, so it will be nice outside. And because it will be really nice, I suggest that you get on that water and go boating if you can. There's going to be a smooth to light chop, hot and sunny, and there's going to be a nice little breeze at 5 to 10 knots. Our week ahead is going to show beautiful sunshine for the rest of the week, though, with low percentages of rain as we move into the beginning of next week. Now we're going to move it off with Jake to show us the southeast region.
Thanks a lot, Shelly, and welcome back to the show. Current temperatures across the southeast are pretty high, as you would expect. 94 Tallahassee, 94 in Montgomery. Those 90s hanging around off to the west as well. 92 degrees currently up in northwestern Louisiana. Even. Now, of course, with Tropical Storm Colin's passage through the southeast, you see these huge temperature change values. This whole area was inundated with rain throughout the day yesterday, so you see 18 degrees higher we are currently in Tallahassee than we were 24 hours ago, 16 degrees in Savannah, 15 in Wilmington, even extending down into parts of central Florida where that rain also hit hard. Now, the satellite radar is pretty clean throughout much of the region. South Florida is still getting in on a bit of the action with some pop-up storms coming through. We had some flood warnings actually still in effect in parts of central Florida. Sarasota, an area that's been particularly hit hard as the morning and afternoon hours have carried on. Otherwise, the southeast is looking clean, and that's the definite relief for these areas in Texas that still are under flood warnings. But as we look down here, parts of central is stretching off all the way down to south into towards Lake Okeechobee, down towards Fort Myers. Here you see these flood warnings in effect. Also some small craft advisories off the coast, so you still see some pretty high wind values. Stretching up through the Carolinas, areas where Tropical Storm Colin just made its passage. It's now moving away from American soil and is going out into the open Atlantic waters, thankfully. I'll have a little bit more about that later on. First, let's set this Futurecast radar into motion to tell you really how the next couple of days are going to be evolving around the area. Through the night tonight, South Florida still getting in on a bit of the action, but the rest of the southeast looking fantastic. Through the day on Wednesday, this also holds true here. You're going to see some storms bubbling up in Texas as Wednesday afternoon goes on, which is, of course, unwelcome sight for them. Haven't seen all that rainfall in the last couple of weeks. Otherwise, the southeast looking just picture perfect. So for tonight, we're looking at 68 degrees in Tallahassee, 75 in Orlando, 63 in Atlanta. Cooler as you head further towards the north. And for tomorrow, 97 degrees in Tallahassee, 87 in Miami. Again, you see that rainfall hanging around in parts of South Florida as well as into Texas. But again, the rest of the region is looking fantastic. So we're going to have a special report for you pretty soon. But first, let's talk about the tropics here because we, of course, are a day after Tropical Storm Colin's landfall. You see its remnants starting to push off towards the northeast. It's currently a post-tropical cyclone, no longer Tropical Storm Colin, so to speak, but still packing a bit of a punch in regards to wind speeds, as we're going to see right now. Currently with winds at 60 miles per hour, situated almost 800 miles away from Tallahassee now. And as we set this into motion over the next couple of days, you're going to see it remains as a low-pressure system and drifts even farther away from any areas of landfall, even actually pushing up towards the eastern parts of Canada into the Arctic. So again, this is a very quick-moving system, moving at 35 miles per hour off to the northeast. And as we go through the next couple of days, it's going to be weakening gradually, of course, and eventually to the point where it will be dissipating by the weekend. So that's all I have for now. And we have some of our old team members here, who one of them, which is Casey Cloud, and he had a report live from Starke, Florida yesterday.
Thanks so much. Yeah, we're here in Bradford County with a report on Tropical Storm Colin. Tropical storm warning remaining in effect for the wind potential that's expected to come through in a more sustained manner throughout the evening and overnight hours. But earlier, we had some gust of wind across the viewing circle, even knocked down some tree limbs, as you can tell here from this tree. A lot of other damage as well around the viewing circle. Not too much really in Bradford County, but let's go to some video from earlier that I had here from this region and that storm. So again, that was just one of the storms that moved through here in Bradford County. There were others. We had a rotating one that it prompted a tornado warning just to the west of Starke earlier. Definitely something that folks were taking heed of. City of Starke under a tornado warning as well. Warnings in toward Jacksonville, Nassau County, Flagler County too. Areas of rotation popping up with this system. Flooding potential, also a threat, sandbags even being made available here in Bradford County to local residents for this tropical storm. Though the flooding threat doesn't look to be too bad, actually out your way, some of the worst that Colin had to offer in terms of those rainfall totals look to be impacting your region as we do get through the rest of the evening hours. So again, you'll want to keep an eye on that there in toward the Big Bend region, southwest Georgia, but the severe threat still looks to be greatest around here, with isolated tornadoes still a possibility. So for now, I'm Casey Cloud reporting from Bradford County for FSU Weather. Back to you.
Thanks, Casey, with this great report over from Starke, Florida. Right now, when we look at those current conditions nationwide, really warm, especially over the western half of the country. 92 in Billings, Montana, 106 in Phoenix, 90 in the Great Salt Lake. And even those 90s are also already creeping into the southeast, 94 in Tallahassee. The coolest and most comfortable air will actually be in Detroit right now with 66 degrees, where mostly the cloud cover continues to dominate over the northeastern corridor. Water vapor shows abundant moisture, especially with all the green developing over into the Rocky Mountains, especially from Colorado into Montana and Wyoming. But thanks to that that frontal system that helped Colin push it to the northeast, we do see a band of orange over from Texas all the way up into Virginia. And that orange, which is a dry air, will be pushing more deeper into the southeast as we go towards midweek. For us in the 24-hour change nationwide, 9 degrees warmer in Billings, especially in the southeast, thanks to Colin now, with the sunshine finally returning. Over 10 degrees to even 15, almost 20 degrees, especially in the Carolinas, all the way up to North Florida. But in Detroit, negative 14 degrees cooler than they were at this time yesterday. So really the Great Lakes is really the coolest spot in the country, as we showed earlier in those temperature maps. The satellite radar shows very quiet overall throughout most of the country. We do see a couple of showers developing over into the Intermountain West. Very dry, especially heading towards the Pacific Ocean. And obviously we are seeing the last of that rain finally pushing out into the Atlantic, especially due to extra tropical storm Colin. We do see some showers, though, developing into parts of the Northeast. And that's also the low pressure attached to that frontal system that extends even all the way down into South Florida. As we look at those watches and warnings, small craft advisories all the way from Boston all the way down into Savannah, Georgia. There's also a special marine warning off the coast of New Jersey into Long Island into effect till 7 o'clock tonight. Flood watches in effect for parts of Central Florida, and that's going to be until tomorrow night. We also do have excessive heat warnings into parts of Arizona, Nevada, and Southern California, with temperatures reaching up to 120 degrees. We also even have heat advisories into parts of Oregon and Washington as well. And also, if you really notice how rare this is, we have tropical storm warnings out into the waters, but we also have frost advisories all the way into the upper Midwest, Wisconsin and Minnesota for tonight, where temperatures are going to be falling into the mid-30s. So very unusual in June, but that is tend to hang on to that last bit of that winter air. As we look at the futurecast for the radar throughout tomorrow, very quiet overall for most of the country. A couple of showers, especially towards the Gulf into southern Florida with that leftover moisture from Tropical Storm Colin. For the rest of the country, though, tonight, 55 degrees in Minneapolis, 46 in Detroit. Very uniform towards the south with 60s, 70s, and even low 80s in Phoenix. So if you're going to be driving on I-10, I-20, and I-40, very hot drive nationwide throughout the south, more comfortable towards the north. The rainfall will be towards Seattle and towards Boston. Overall, great temperatures. And now we're going to send it over to Jake with the last look at the local.
All right, thanks a lot, Ulises. Good to see the sun back out around Tallahassee. As you see right now, 94 degrees under mostly cloudy skies, partly cloudy really throughout much of the day. Dew point sitting at 65, wind out of the north at 10 miles per hour. And you see those temperatures hanging back into those 90s. We're finally back to that summertime heat. 90 Monticello, 91 in Marianna. A little bit cooler by the water, of course, with those temperatures sitting largely in the middle 80s near Apalachicola and Carabel. This water vapor is really going to show you how all the moisture from Colin is pushed off towards the east. Now you see this dry pattern full of these orange, this orange over here, this dry air, pushing its way into the Tallahassee area, really into the Big Bend as a whole here. So that's going to be continuing as we go through the next couple of days, setting up for a pretty nice rest of the week ahead, as we'll talk about in our 7-day. But for now, let's take this futurecast, set it into motion here, and you're going to see, again, a lot of this rainfall hanging around in South Florida, but around Tallahassee, just spotless, really, throughout the day on Wednesday as we set it off towards noon. No rain really within a 200 or 300 mile radius here, and that's going to continue through the rest of the day on Wednesday, with all the rainfall really hanging in Central and South Florida. So for tonight, mostly clear skies, 68 degrees for a low here in Tallahassee, 67 in Bainbridge, 72 degrees in Carabel, winds out of the north-northwest at 5 miles per hour, and that's going to be holding true tomorrow. But that heat is going to be coming back in a big way. 96 in Tallahassee, 95 Monticello, 92 degrees in St. Mark's, sitting at 93 in Perry as well. So really the entire area, even by the water, we're going to be cracking that 90-degree mark. So it's definitely going to be something to keep in mind here as we go forward. If you're planning out the rest of your day, by noon tomorrow is where we're already going to be seeing temperatures getting into that 90-degree range, heating up very quickly and getting into those mid-90s as we hit the mid-afternoon hours. On the sand tomorrow, winds coming out of the north from 5 to 10 miles per hour, surf at 1 to 2 feet here. So again, if you're going to be out on the beach, out in the boat, or anything like that, make sure you come prepared for that heat. Bring plenty of water, bring plenty of sunscreen, because there's really not going to be any kind of cloud cover out there to really speak of. For the remaining 7 days ahead, it's going to be a fantastic looking rest of the week here. Mostly sunny skies hanging around with those temperatures in the mid-90s through Friday. As you see here, Saturday is when the clouds are going to start to gradually pick up, and once we get into the early parts of next week is when we're going to see some chances of some scattered thunderstorms throughout the area. But again, those highs are going to be hanging around in the 90s really throughout the entirety of the week. So hey, if you like our broadcast, we're all over social media. We were all over it for Colin yesterday. You can like us here on Facebook.com/FSU Weather. We're also on Twitter. We're on Instagram. And you can even watch our broadcasts and special updates at livestream.com/FSU Weather. So here, for all of us here at FSU Weather, I'm student meteorologist Jay Carstens. Have a fantastic Tuesday night.